Imagine this. It's a quiet morning. You're sitting at your kitchen table, half awake, peeling a banana for breakfast. You take a bite, soft, sweet, familiar. But what if I told you that you're basically eating something that's 60% you? Yes, you heard that right. Humans, complex, emotional, thinking beings, share about 60% of their DNA with bananas. Wait, what? How is that even possible? You have a brain capable of writing symphonies, building rockets, and falling in love, and you're telling me part of that same biological code exists inside a banana? It sounds absurd, almost like a bad science joke, but it's completely true. Beneath all our differences, skin, fur, leaves, or peels, lies the same hidden language, DNA, the ancient code that connects all living things on Earth. Think about that for a second. The same basic instructions that tell your heart how to beat or your brain how to think, are also found in the yellow fruit you tossed into your smoothie this morning. So, what does it actually mean to share DNA with a banana? Are we secretly fruit in disguise? Or does it reveal something much deeper, something extraordinary, about the unity of all life on this planet? Let's peel back the science, layer by layer, and uncover one of the strangest and most beautiful truths about who we really are, and how we're far more connected to the world around us than we ever imagined. Before we can understand how we're connected to a banana, we first need to understand what this mysterious thing called DNA actually is. Think of DNA as the instruction manual of life, the ultimate recipe book that tells every living thing how to grow, how to function, and how to survive. From the tiniest bacterium in a drop of water to you, sitting there watching this video, everything alive runs on DNA. It's like the universal programming language of biology. If life were a video game, DNA would be the code behind every character, every tree, every blade of grass, and every banana. It's the invisible script running in the background, quietly typing out the story of existence. Inside nearly every cell of your body, and there are trillions of them, lies a microscopic strand of this code, twisted into the famous double helix shape. It looks like a spiraling ladder, and each rung is made of 4 tiny chemical bases, A, T, C, and G. These letters may seem meaningless, but the way they're arranged creates the blueprint for all life. Think of them like letters in an alphabet. With just 26 letters, humans have written poetry, laws, and entire civilizations. DNA does the same, but with only 4. Those 4 chemical letters spell out instructions that determine everything: your height, your eye color, your ability to digest food, even how your brain works. And here's the fascinating part. This same 4-letter language is used by every living organism on Earth. Bananas, trees, cats, whales, bacteria, all of them use DNA to store and pass on information. We're all just different stories written in the same alphabet. That's why scientists say we share DNA with other species. It doesn't mean humans are part banana, but it means that some sections of our genetic code perform similar functions, like building cells, repairing damage, or producing energy. So, it's not so strange that we share genetic similarities with a piece of fruit. After all, both humans and bananas need to breathe, grow, reproduce, and repair themselves. We're built from the same biological building blocks, only the order of our code changes. The reason life feels so endlessly diverse isn't because we use different materials, it's because the same code has been rearranged in billions of creative ways over billions of years. You and a banana are different not because you play by different rules, but because your DNA tells a different version of the same game. And that's the magic of it. Behind every heartbeat, every leaf, and every living cell, there's one ancient, elegant design, the language of life itself. So, what does it actually mean to share 60% of our DNA with a banana? Does that mean we're 60% banana? Or that bananas are 60% human? Not exactly, unless you're planning to photosynthesize on your lunch break. The truth is far more fascinating. When scientists say we share 60% of our DNA with bananas, they don't mean that 60% of our entire genetic blueprint is identical, base for base. Instead, they mean that around 60% of our genes perform similar biological functions, the same kind of work at a cellular level. Think of it this way, humans and bananas are both living organisms, so we both need some of the same basic instructions to stay alive. Like how to make energy, how to copy our cells, and how to repair damage. These housekeeping genes are ancient and universal. They're the shared survival code that every living thing carries forward. If you compare our genome, all 3 billion letters of it, with that of a banana, you'll find that about 60% of those letters line up in meaningful ways. The rest, of course, is where we differ dramatically. Bananas don't have genes for building a brain, or growing opposable thumbs, or crying at sad movies. And thankfully, we don't have genes for producing fruit pulp or growing a peel. But that 60% overlap tells a beautiful story, a story of connection. It means that deep inside your cells, the same ancient molecular tools that once helped primitive life survive in warm prehistoric oceans are still at work today, helping you breathe, think, move, and heal. To put that in perspective, humans share 98% of their DNA with chimpanzees, our closest animal relatives. We share 84% with dogs, 75% with mice, and yes, 60% with bananas. So, the next time you eat a banana, remember, it's not just a snack. It's a reunion between distant cousins separated by billions of years of evolution. The fruit on your table carries traces of the same biological story that lives inside you. It's funny, isn't it? The line between us and everything else isn't as clear as we think. Underneath all the differences, skin, fur, feathers, or peel, life is built from the same ancient recipe, written in the same genetic alphabet. So, when you peel that banana tomorrow morning, maybe take a second before your first bite. Look at it, smile. You're not just holding breakfast. You're holding a reminder that, at the most fundamental level, we're all connected by code. Let's rewind time, way, way back. Picture Earth not as the blue and green planet we know, but as a bubbling, chaotic soup of chemicals. No animals, no plants, not even oxygen. Just a wild, swirling ocean of molecules bumping into each other under lightning storms. And somewhere in that cosmic chaos, around 3.5 billion years ago, something extraordinary happened, life began. From that single spark, that first primitive cell, every living thing you know today eventually evolved. Humans, elephants, oak trees, bananas, everything. That's why, at the most fundamental level, we all share a biological ancestry. The reason we have 60% of our DNA in common with bananas isn't random or weird, it's because we're distant relatives on the great tree of life. Imagine this tree. At its roots, there's that first ancient cell. As it grew, the branches split, some became bacteria, others became plants, and one branch, billions of years later, became us. The banana sits on one of the plant branches, and we're out there on the animal branch. Far apart, sure, but still connected by that same root. Now, what's fascinating is that both humans and bananas still rely on the same basic survival instructions that existed billions of years ago. We both need to make energy, repair our cells, copy our DNA, and grow new tissues. So it makes perfect sense that some of the genes controlling those universal processes are still the same. Think of it like software updates. Over billions of years, life has released countless versions. Bananas are running an ancient, plant-based edition, while humans are on the ultra-advanced Mammal 2.0 update. But the core code, the part that keeps everything running, is still there. It's been copied, modified, and reused throughout time. Evolution doesn't start from scratch, it's an incredible recycler. And here's where it gets mind-blowing. Even though our paths split hundreds of millions of years ago, the similarities in our DNA show how life is conservative in design. Nature tends to hold on to what works. If a particular gene was good at converting food into energy billions of years ago, it stayed in the code, appearing again and again, from algae to bananas to humans. Now, let's make it visual. Imagine billions of tiny microscopic ancestors floating in ancient oceans, simple cells dividing and surviving. One line of those cells started forming green pigments, learning to use sunlight to make energy. Over time, they became the first plants, the great-grandparents of the banana you peel today. Another line evolved differently, building nerves, muscles, and eventually, brains, leading to us. And yet, deep inside, in the hidden language of our genes, traces of that shared history remain. Every time you breathe, repair a wound, or eat a meal, parts of your cells are doing things that echo what life has been doing for billions of years. The same things your banana relatives are still doing quietly in the tropics. So the next time you see a banana, don't just think of it as a fruit. Think of it as a distant cousin, one that took a very different evolutionary road, but still carries whispers of the same ancient code that built you. Because in the end, the reason we share DNA with bananas is beautifully simple. We're all descendants of the same miracle, life itself. Think about this for a moment. If humans share 60% of their DNA with bananas, 80% with cows, and 98% with chimpanzees, what does that really say about life itself? It says something profound, that every living thing on Earth, no matter how simple or strange, is part of one giant, interconnected story. We're not separate threads, we're all woven into the same biological tapestry. This discovery changes how we see life. It's not about superiority, humans on top and everything else below. It's about connection, because if we share so much with something as simple as a banana, then maybe simple isn't such a fair word after all. The same molecular language that builds a banana's cells also builds yours. The same biological grammar that tells a plant how to grow also tells your body how to heal. We're speaking the same ancient code, just with different accents. Evolution, in this sense, isn't a competition, it's a collaboration that's been unfolding for billions of years. Every organism on Earth has inherited, rewritten, and shared bits of that original life code. We're like co-authors of the same never-ending story, one where each species adds its own chapter, but the language stays the same. And here's where it gets truly humbling. When you look at nature, a tree, a bird, even the grass beneath your feet, you're not looking at something foreign. You're looking at distant relatives who took a different evolutionary path. They adapted to light, water, and air in their own way, while we adapted to thought, language, and emotion. But the foundation, the DNA blueprint, still connects us. It's as if all life on Earth is part of one enormous orchestra. Every living thing, from bacteria to bananas to human beings, is playing its own instrument. Some notes are high, some low, but together they create the symphony of existence. Now, imagine if we actually lived with that awareness, that the tree outside isn't just a thing, but a living cousin whose DNA once shared the same spark as ours. Would we treat the planet differently? Would we value life more deeply? Because this isn't just about science, it's about perspective. The realization that we share our genetic code with nearly everything on Earth reveals how deeply dependent we are on the world around us. We breathe the oxygen that plants make. We eat the fruits they grow. And deep within, our cells still echo with the same biological rhythm that started in a single ancient ancestor. So next time someone tells you humans are the most evolved, you can smile and say, maybe. But we're also 60% banana. And that's not an insult, it's a reminder. A reminder that life is one enormous, living network, and we're just one branch on the same magnificent tree. Because evolution didn't create separation, it created unity through diversity. Every living thing is a remix of the same song, and every heartbeat, every leaf, every breath is playing the same ancient tune, the music of life itself. Now, let's take this fascinating connection between humans and bananas out of the theory books and into the real world, because this isn't just a fun fact to impress people at parties. The genetic similarity between humans and other organisms, even something as humble as a banana, has changed the way we understand medicine, biology, and life itself. Here's the surprising truth. Scientists often use plants and animals, including bananas, fruit flies, and mice, to study human diseases. Why? Because we share enough DNA that what happens in them can tell us something about us. A fruit fly, for instance, shares about 60% of its genes with humans, just like the banana does. These tiny creatures have helped us discover genes linked to cancer, aging, and even sleep disorders. In mice? They're genetic gold mines, with over 80% of their DNA matching ours. They've been at the center of medical breakthroughs from diabetes to Alzheimer's research. But here's where it gets even more unexpected. Bananas themselves have played a role in genetic science. Researchers studying banana DNA have found insights into how cells replicate, repair damage, and fight off diseases, the same fundamental processes that keep our bodies alive. The genes that help a banana repair its tissues after a bruise? They operate much like the ones that help your skin heal after a cut. That's not coincidence. That's shared ancestry written into our code. In fact, one recent study revealed that certain genes in bananas help them resist aging and decay, genes that function in ways remarkably similar to the ones responsible for cell longevity in humans. Imagine that. A clue to understanding how we age, hidden in the fruit you slice into your morning smoothie. This kind of cross-species research has led to some of the biggest medical breakthroughs in history. Insulin production, gene therapy, and even the COVID-19 vaccines all rely on our understanding of how different organisms' DNA behaves. The banana might not look like much of a lab partner, but its simple, well-mapped genome makes it a surprisingly good one. In fact, scientists use plant DNA studies to refine agricultural genetics, helping create crops that are more nutritious and resistant to disease, while simultaneously uncovering patterns relevant to human genetics. And here's a thought that might blow your mind. One day, genetic engineers could design biomedicine plants, crops that produce substances used in human treatments. Imagine bananas that grow proteins capable of curing diseases or regenerating cells. It sounds like science fiction, but it's already in early research stages today. So, yes, that banana on your kitchen counter isn't just breakfast. It's a biological time capsule, holding billions of years of evolutionary history and scientific potential. Every bite reminds us that we're not just observing nature from the outside, we're part of the same incredible system, bound by the same molecular threads. Who knows, the next big medical breakthrough might not come from a high-tech lab or a new drug, but from something hanging on a tree, waiting to be peeled. So, what does it really mean, this strange, beautiful fact that you share 60% of your DNA with a banana? It means that the story of life isn't divided by species, or shape, or color. It's one enormous, ongoing narrative, written in the same biological language, passed down and rewritten over billions of years. You, me, the cat on your couch, the tree outside your window, and yes, the banana on your kitchen counter, we're all chapters of the same book. Think about that for a moment. Every heartbeat, every breath, every spark of thought in your brain runs on the same ancient biological code that once powered single-celled organisms floating in a prehistoric sea. Over time, that code evolved, adapted, and diversified, but it never broke. It connects us all, silently, invisibly, across time and species. You are not a separate being standing apart from nature, you are nature. The same stardust, the same chemistry, the same molecular poetry that shapes mountains, rivers, and fruit. It's humbling, isn't it? To realize that the thing we so casually peel and eat shares a deep kinship with us. That the boundary between human and everything else isn't a wall, but a soft, fading line. When we understand that, something changes. We start to see the world not as a collection of separate, competing lives, but as one vast, interconnected system. Every plant we grow, every animal we protect, every breath we take, it's all part of the same cycle, the same living organism called Earth. The more we respect that connection, the more we protect our own future. So next time you eat a banana, pause for just a second. You're not just fueling your body, you're reconnecting with something ancient, something shared, something that's been part of you all along. You're eating the echo of evolution, the living proof that all life on Earth is bound by the same molecular thread. And maybe, the next time you walk through a forest, or hold a pet, or even water a plant, you'll feel a little spark of recognition. Because in some small, cosmic way, you're saying hello to family. We're not just humans living on Earth. We are Earth, made of its code, its elements, its story. So let's remember, life isn't about separation. It's about connection. About realizing that every living thing, from the tiniest cell to the tallest tree, carries a piece of the same miracle. We're all different versions of the same story, the story of life. And that, perhaps, is the most beautiful discovery of all.